Today I'm over at Carolina Pets Animal Hospital and I'm visiting with Dr. Heather Myers to talk about the importance of oral health in your dog. So today we're going to do a little look behind the scenes at what a dental procedure actually entails and looks like. We're going to talk about a few key items that you can do that are very simple to promote good oral health, and then we're going to talk about why oral health is so important for the overall health of your dog. So I've been talking about a few different ways to promote good oral health in your pet. I've got some different products here that I want to show you. Now, one thing I want to tell you about any products that you use for good oral health in your pet should be recommended by the VOHC. That's the Veterinary Oral Health Council. You can find a list of products that they put their stamp on as good products for overall oral health at vohc.org. So I have some of those products here. The very first thing that we'll cover is toothbrushing. It's really important to brush your dog's teeth as much as it is important to brush your own teeth during the day. So I've got a variety of different toothbrushes here based on kind of personal preference for both you and your dog. They have finger brushes that you can slide over your finger with a brush on the tip to use on the inside of the mouth. We also have smaller brushes like this one here demonstrated for a cat or a small dog. Here's another type of finger brush that slides over your finger to get inside of the mouth of the dog. And then over here, kind of your more traditional style toothbrush with a thicker head end and a smaller head end to use on the inside of the mouth. As far as how frequently you should be brushing your dog's teeth, it's actually recommended that you brush your dog's teeth every single day, once a day for best overall oral health. But it's really difficult sometimes as pet owners in the busy schedule of our lives to remember to do that on a daily basis. So if you can do it 2 to 3 times a week, it will definitely save you a lot of money in the long run when it comes to doing actual full dental procedures, which we'll take a look at today as well. If you're unsure as to how to use any of these toothbrushes, we're going to go ahead and link the brush video, how to brush your dog's teeth, to this video as well, so that you can follow along with that tutorial and learn how to properly brush your dog's teeth. On to toothpastes. They really have done a good job of making toothpastes fun, so it's really a matter of preference with what your dog likes, or your cat for that matter. So we've got a seafood flavor here, we've got chicken and poultry flavor, there's a vanilla mint, but honestly the meat flavors tend to be a bit more preferable by canines and felines. A couple other products to go over, some safe treats and safe toys that promote oral health. We've got CET enzymatic chews. You can see this is for the little dogs, what the little chews look like. And then this is for the big dogs. Now these look like big giant rawhides, but they are not actually rawhides. They're made a little bit differently and they're way safer than rawhides. Rawhides won't break down in the system and can cause intestinal blockages, where CET chews have enzymes that are good for promoting overall oral health, but also if they accidentally swallow a large piece of one of these chews, unlike rawhides, they'll actually break down in the system. So there isn't a concern for a blockage that could result in a foreign body surgery. So if your dog's like rawhides, this is a really good alternative to not only give them that same sensation of chewing on a rawhide, but promoting oral health as well. A couple other really good chews that are VOHC recommended are these Oravet dental chews. They tend to eat these a little bit more quickly, but these are fun. You can see this little green shape here. It's kind of chewy, so the tooth bears down into the treat and it kind of brushes the tooth as it's working. Another thing that I actually use as treats that is a food, it's a diet, but it tends to be a little higher in fat. So if you're being careful about weight and your calorie intake for your dogs, you could use it as a treat like I do. This is Hill's Prescription Diet Dental Care. It's called TD, and you can ask your veterinarian about it because it does require an actual prescription because it's a prescription food. But having a bag of this at home, popping it in the cookie jar, this is made with long vegetable fibers, so it's meant to actually brush up against it, almost act kind of like a floss to the tooth when they chew the treat. Definitely recommend these for good treat use, so ask your vet about those. Lastly, I just want to point out there's a couple of other products out there like this Cleansadent water additive. This is something really simple. You just add a little bit based on the directions on the bottle into the water bowl that they drink. It's perfectly safe to swallow, and that helps brush by the teeth and promote oral health as well. They do have mouth rinses also, but this is something super easy. So if you're short on time, you have a busy schedule, you just put a little bit in the water bowl and you're good to go. So this is just a few ways that overall you can really promote good oral health, which promotes overall health in your dog. It's simple. You only want to brush teeth for a good 1 minute to 2 minutes at a time, and the more frequently you do this, the less likely it is that they're going to require continuous dental procedures, especially the older that they get. Next, I'm going to show you an actual behind-the-scenes look at what is involved in a dental procedure. So everything from putting the dog under anesthesia, some of the monitoring equipment, the actual equipment that they use to scale and polish the teeth. We'll take a look at digital x-rays, and we'll go from there. Here's a look at getting Zoe ready to get her IV catheter, where we're going to put her medications through to put her in a sleep state for her dental. You can see she's very relaxed. And she's out. A lot of people are worried about putting their dogs under anesthesia. So we're just going to talk about a few of the things that we do to closely monitor them and keep them safe while they're having their procedure. Here we're placing an endotracheal tube. We use a laryngoscope to find the right hole for that so that we can hook them up to oxygen and to the anesthesia. And then here you can see we're hooking up all of her monitoring equipment. She has a bunch of different clips on her that lead to an EKG lead. They monitor her oxygen levels, her carbon dioxide levels, and none of this is painful. She's completely asleep and she'll wake up perfectly comfortable. Taking some before photos so that we can show the clients, since it's difficult to see in the dog's mouth while they're awake, how things look. And over here, you can see where we're monitoring her heart rate, her blood pressure. It's a little bit high on the monitor right now. So one of the things that we as technicians always do is make sure to rely on our own skills. So here I'm just manually checking her heart rate, which is actually perfect for the sleep state that she's in right now. So we readjust her leads to make the surgical equipment actually match what's really happening inside of her body. And here you can see just a quick look before we do the dental. This is actually perfect timing for this dog to get a dental before things get too bad. You can see a little tartar and plaque buildup and some recession and redness in the gum line. So perfect timing.
I'm Dr. Myers. We're performing a dental and oral health examination this morning on our patient who is under anesthesia. She's doing fine. This is an important part of overall health for animals. When we think of dental disease in humans, the most common disease is actually decay of the enamel and cavities. In pets, that is only about approximately 10% of the oral health disease that we see. We most often see periodontal disease in animals, and what that means is every day we have thousands of bacteria growing in our oral cavities, and so do dogs and cats. And when those bacteria breed on the surface of the tooth, they'll develop plaque. And if that plaque's not removed, it starts to invade the underlying gums, and the gums will recede. And eventually, that plaque becomes mineralized and turns into calculus and will cause infection and inflammation in the gums and eventually the roots of the teeth. That'll break down the periodontal ligament, and often these animals will actually lose their teeth because of the progression of that disease. We want to treat that periodontal disease before it gets to the point where we need extractions or we have tooth loss. That disease is painful. The inflammation and the infection is painful to the animal, and all of that bacteria is getting into the bloodstream and it's bathing the internal organs. So the heart, the liver, the kidneys, even the brain can become affected by that bacterial load. So what Megan's doing now is cleaning not only the surface of the tooth, which is what would happen if you attempted to clean the teeth with an awake animal, but you can't get below the gum line where the actual disease is. And you can see how long an animal's mouth is to be able to get the ultrasonic scaler and the hand scalers up underneath the gum line on all surfaces of the teeth to be able to see in the back of the mouth. The pet truly needs to be under anesthesia to perform that properly. We would be, if we're not probing and we're not able to take radiographs, we're really missing and potentially missing an important diagnosis. Patients, to give you an example of the importance of eliminating that bacterial load, patients with diabetes will often become insulin resistant, where their insulin is no longer working because of the infection in their mouths. So we've found that pets that can be better regulated on insulin and actually require less insulin for their diabetes by just taking care of and treating that disease in their oral cavities. So dental radiographs are an important part of your pet's overall care. What we see in terms of dental disease, typically the crown is often just the tip of the iceberg. So in this patient that came in, when we're seeing him for a physical exam, we're only seeing from here up, which his crowns looked relatively healthy, and you might be able to see that this one premolar, its configuration is a little wonky, but until we take the radiographs, we don't see the whole picture. Below the surface here, this dog had a tooth that had not erupted, and this tooth has actually a giant abscess forming around the roots, which can cause pain and infection, and we would have never known that if we hadn't taken a digital radiograph of his tooth. And then our worst case scenario, we take a radiograph of an animal that just had some swelling along its mandible. And this pet did have some periodontal disease, but more importantly, she unfortunately had an osteosarcoma, which is a cancer of the bone. And we would not have been able to diagnose that just based on swelling in the mandible. It took a radiograph to be able to come to that diagnosis. And this is one more reason why anesthesia is critical in performing a dental procedure. With animals, we can't place bite wings in their mouth with them awake to obtain radiographs. We need them to be anesthetized in order to look below the surface of the crowns and find these lurking lesions that you can't see from the surface.
Little Zoe did great here for her dental, so she is off anesthesia and just on oxygen, and she's going to be waking up shortly. The important thing is that you remember that it takes a while to do the dental procedure, but even more so a while for them to wake up. We want them to wake up calm and quiet and in a comfortable and warm state. So oftentimes when you drop off for a dental, it's going to be an all-day affair. Thanks so much for sticking with us all the way through to the end. To help you guys out, I'm going to put all of the links that we talked about in the description. So we'll talk about vohc.org and put a list of some of the items that you can purchase for toothbrushing, toothpaste for your pet, and so on and so forth. If you like this video, please be sure to let me know by hitting that like button. Go ahead and hit the subscribe and the bell notification if you want to see more videos just like it.